Hey there, I'm Mr. Terry, my high school history teacher. Welcome back to another History Teacher Reacts video. All right, we got some more BlueJay to cover today, and this video looked interesting. It's called The Craziest Projects That Were Almost a Reality. I love this kind of stuff. I love learning about times in history where civilizations just wanted to go big with it. And whether they were successful or not, the ambition is admirable. So I want to see what BlueJay's got here. You know, it's going to be funny and the stories are going to be wild. All right, the original video is down below. Make sure to check that out. And let me know which projects you liked or would have liked. All right, let's get started. All right, let's get crazy.
If humanity and suspended cartoon pianos have anything in common, it's their uncanny knack for failure time and time again. Whether it be a New Year's resolution or returning home with the milk, humans don't always accomplish everything they set out to do. But while these abandoned goals can leave websites dusty or children with lasting psychological damage, sometimes the goal itself is so ridiculous that it's probably best left in the good old idea box. And in a world where people thought hydrogen airships were a good idea, imagine the zany proposals that didn't make the cut. Now let's take a look at some of the crazy... Is that a flashbang?
Oh no!
Package secured, extracting now. I've got your 6.
I'm trying to think of stuff I want to see on this list. I want to see the whole Reagan Star Wars stuff, where they were going to build satellites with lasers to shoot down bombs and stuff. That's what I want to see. All right, what happened to the flashbang?
The box, it's gone. Mother, they must have tracked our location. Timmy, what are you doing on your phone? I'm just browsing iFunny. Okay, we need to talk about that later, but you're on public Wi-Fi. You should be using NordVPN to hide your location. It must be how they found us. Who's they? No time, we need that box. This looks like British equipment. Luckily, the UK is one of over 60 countries NordVPN has servers.
All right, we'll get to the code if you want to use their NordVPN.
Civilized. Is it okay? What now? VPN has servers in. Use it to change our location to London. Okay, what now? They're Brits. How many miles is it to the Royal Palace? Actually, it's kilometers. You mean kilometers, right? Civilized people use kilometers. Surely you mean... There, go Timmy! Anyway, NordVPN is a fantastic service that 30-day money-back guarantee.
Good integration.
Thank you, NordVPN, for sponsoring the
All right, there's the code.
Oh, good.
Go back to
as
that
I was
if you
saying,
want.
let's take a look at some bonkers canceled projects.
Yeah, let's see. Why's it called BlueJay, by the way? Anyone know?
The people of 19th century London were not that different from us. They face similar day-to-day challenges that plague our lives today. But where we lose our keys, they lose their
touring
sleep
London
away.
a lot.
Or instead of asking, where can I fit these groceries? They had, where can I fit these thousands of bodies? In the early 1800s, London was frantically searching for a solution for what to do with all their dead. Cemeteries were beginning to find themselves increasingly full. And seeing as how the residents weren't moving out, the lazy fucks, answers were desperately needed. And in 1820, architect Thomas Wilson came up with one such solution. Hey there, chap.
Okay, before he gets to that, I wanted to think of some context because it reminded me of what France did. France did this kind of just before the revolution. They dug up all their graveyards and then built the catacombs underneath, which houses like how many million people? I forget, like 5-6 million or something like that. People, they dug them out and put them way underground there because it was taking up too much, you know, territory.
That pyramid's rather neat, isn't it?
Wait.
Wilson came up with one such solution. Hey there, chap. That pyramid's rather neat, isn't it? You know what would make it better?
In it.
5 million bodies. At the time, London was going through an Egyptian craze with artifacts pouring in from the land of the Nile.
Exploiting everything out of Egypt.
Its own. Influenced by this popularity, Thomas Wilson proposed the Metropolitan Sepulchre. This pyramid would have towered 94 stories on 18 acres of land, overlooking London on Primrose Hill, serving as a nice little reminder in the sky of your impending
random
doom.
pyramid.
You know, in case the air wasn't enough. While most planes featured in this video are rather ridiculous, the Death Pyramid actually wasn't that crazy of an idea. With a capacity of 5 million, it would have stored an equivalent of 1,000 acres of traditional cemetery land. To add to its practicality,
this would be a weird thing though. Like your biggest monument basically is just a big necropolis. Would you want that as your like showpiece thing? I don't know. I like the burying, you know, the catacombs idea.
The summit was to be used as an astronomical observatory because all the best research is fueled by the screams of the damned. And what did Wilson plan to do when the pyramid got full?
Creepy.
Build a new one. Giza got 3. But like all fun things in life, public opinion saw the downfall of the Death Pyramid. This could have something to do with the fact that Wilson claimed, it will teach the living to die and the dying to live forever. But I think Industrial Revolution London already had that lesson down. Furthermore, there were concerns that the sheer weight of the thing would literally crush Primrose Hill. We all know how Londoners like their curves. Ultimately, people preferred a wild and free Primrose Hill, with the opening of multiple garden cemeteries on London's countryside being the final nail in the coffin.
Those are ugly though. Well, it's like you want green space, and especially in a place like London, which doesn't have a lot, because it's so gross then. But you don't want your green spaces just to be like cemeteries, you know?
So unfortunately,
It's
the
kinda
park
conundrum.
cemetery beat out the death pyramid as the go-to burial method. But could you imagine? Mother, I miss Grandpappy. Don't you worry, James. Your grandfather will always be watching over you. In the modern era,
It
many
would be,
strides
like,
have been
frightening.
made towards improving the lives and rights of the LGBT community, resulting in more acceptance of homosexuality in today's culture than ever before. And as with all things, this left the US government with one pressing question. But can we weaponize it? In 1994, researchers at Air Force's Wright Laboratory in Ohio set out to do just that, exploring the potential for a gay bomb. No, not the fun kind. We're talking
Psychochemical warfare.
in a 3-page
geez.
proposal to the Department of Defense. They described how the bomb would
Dude, I don't think we want to know all the weird stuff like the CIA and governments were hypothesizing about weird weapons and studies and like all the like the brainwashing, like all these weird plans. Because then you look at them and you start getting close to eugenics and stuff like that. I feel like the deeper we'll look at that, just the more disgusted we will be.
disperse a
what
gas
we
over enemy
find.
camps that would, quote, cause enemy soldiers to become gay and to have their units break down because all their soldiers became irresistibly attractive to one another. Basically, the idea was to help the enemy combatants make love.
There's no way a gay person thought this up. Okay, 0% chance.
Not war. So we can make war.
Oh
The
my
document
gosh.
acknowledged that no such chemical existed at that point, but promised further research into the little explored world of pheromones and aphrodisiacs should their $7.5 million
Nerd
proposal
ropes.
get approved. The basis for the idea seems to have originated from how copulants were marketed as aphrodisiacs in perfumes and colognes since the 70s. But that remains more in the realm of pseudoscience, seeing as how the claim was based on just some observations of monkey behavior, not quite the definition of a serious or controlled scientific study.
Yeah.
Regardless, the proposal made its way to the Pentagon,
Yeah.
and I like to imagine it went a little something like this. Okay, Corporal, what do you got for me? Proposal for a new nuclear warhead that maximizes radiation damage to farmland. About time, push it forward. The Army wants to weaponize honeybees in Iraq, so they... Yeah, sure, fine. Wright Laboratory gave us this proposal for a gay bomb that... Corporal, are you mad? We are the United States of America, for Christ's sake. It is our duty as the leaders of the free world to draw the line on what is just and inhumane.
Would you put this past the American government though? Like really?
Understood, Major. Consider it scrapped. The FBI think they can overthrow Castro using child sleeper agents and doped up spinner dolphins. How fast can they have it done? The Department of Defense scrapped the proposal pretty quickly.
Hey, would have been better than Bay of Pigs, right? Couldn't have been worse than Bay of Pigs.
And the gay bomb never saw any real development. But I mean, come on. The idea was pretty ridiculous. There's nothing that can just turn any man gay. It's the early 1920s, and America's having a roaring time. They got jazz, that one
Flapper
Fortnite
girls.
dance, and a stock market that could never get depressing. The Great War may be over, but a great age has just begun. Right, Europe? Oh, right, the war happened here.
Yeah.
Ew. Unlike the US,
show up in
the
France
years
or
immediately
something.
following World War I didn't prove fruitful for much of Europe. The continent was experiencing a sharp rise in unemployment, overpopulation, and a looming energy crisis. Noting these issues, German architect Hermann Zorgel sought to kill multiple government drones with one stone, using his continent-uniting project, Atlantropa. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, unfortunately, Atlantropa wasn't a plan for a massive Atlantis-themed water park. In fact, quite the opposite. Instead of a large influx of water, the project called for the draining of water. A lot of water. Like a sea's worth. Specifically, Zorgel wanted to partially drain the Mediterranean
Oh, I've
Sea
heard of
by
this.
building a series of dams. The Mediterranean is naturally
Dam up the
evaporative,
Mediterranean.
with water flowing in from the Atlantic. A dam across the Strait of Gibraltar would naturally lower the sea level over time, and Zorgel planned to drop it by up to 200 meters, creating over
Great.
660,000 square kilometers of new land for living space.
I think I've heard of this. Alternate History Hub. Didn't Cody do a video with that? Yeah, it was like a plan. It was going to create a whole bunch more farmland, right? Potentially, even though it's all former saltwater. But I think there's some. I mean, obviously there's some huge logistical problems, but isn't it? But in the Strait of Gibraltar, isn't the water actually really deep, like very deep? There, I know some of the stuff around the west of the Italian peninsula and stuff, because like people be like, why don't you make a bridge over like Sicily into the boot of Italy, and it's like, no, the water's actually super deep. The more legit, or like, it seems like the other projects that would probably work better or something. Have you seen how they maybe dam up more around like the Netherlands and stuff like that? But how does this work with salinization though? With this land is not going to be arable. If that's what they're thinking about with like food, like that's not going to work, right?
Creating over 660,000 square kilometers of new land for living space. Europe and Africa would unite into a new supercontinent, with all its energy needs being met by the new dam, the construction of which would provide the unemployed masses with work for decades. The plan initially saw a lot of support from the German public, but not so much so from countries actually on the Mediterranean. This could have something to do with the fact that the fishing villages weren't all that keen on becoming mountain ones, and places like Venice would pretty much lose their entire identity. But come on, ocean views are
Venice
overrated.
is already
Things
sinking.
are great in Germany. Africa wasn't a fan either. Something about giving Europeans easier access to their lands didn't quite sit right with them, but their opinion mattered about as much as a post on Apple's feedback page. Yeah, basically.
Africa doesn't have anything to worry about further European colonization.
Basically, we'd merge together as one continent, and we could build railroads to you guys, making travel extremely convenient. What do you think?
أخشى عليه من الجبل طال غيابه هذه المرة.
I know, great, right? Say, how much concrete do you have? Zorgel later pitched the project to the Nazis after they took over, noting their desire
That
for
was a
living
Nazi
space,
plan,
but
that's
they weren't all
right.
that interested in the plan.
They were in
why
the-
bother creating new land when there is all this land nobody is using? What?
The actual
Of course,
Lebensraum.
Atlantropa had a few small issues that needed some ironing
Atlantropa.
out, such as catastrophic effects on climate, the mass extinction of Mediterranean marine life, and the lack of enough concrete in the world at the time to actually construct the thing. Oh, and there's a small fact that the homes of millions and the power of an entire continent were solely subject to the proper operation of a single dam holding back a literal ocean. Can you imagine the catastrophe if the squirrel from Ice Age stumbled upon it? Zorgo continued
I was thinking about that because, like, you know what the protection you need for that? Some kind of terrorist attack or something. Blow that dam open and just basically just destroy Europe. That much, and separately, that much amount of environmental manipulation is never good. We already see it today with how much we manipulate our environment, what that does to long-term environmental hazards. So something like that, that's pretty difficult. But again, it's crazy projects, right?
to promote his project until his death in 1952, with his beloved Atlantropa losing all its steam with him. But hey, now that the name is open for the taking, I say we try that water park idea. I actually went ahead and took a
let's have
crack
some
at the
fun
design.
ideas.
It's themed after the movie Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which features dynamite-wielding Italians, making it objectively the best animated Disney movie. I'm thinking we can build a thing in Poland because God knows they deserve a break. If a colossal water park can't line up a place that depressing, I don't know what will.
Well, that just want them to
Perhaps
be
a
in
gay bomb. Yeah, 10 stars.
So that's just what is that just going to make Poland more of a target to be invaded? All right, final thoughts. I got some questions for you. All right, what are we thinking about these crazy projects? Also, I want to know what other crazy projects you guys are aware of. And it can't just be something that was like just mentioned, like something that was seriously considered. I think that's the ones that we should be thinking about. So what other ones out there? I didn't see my Star Wars suggestion there, but there's got to be a lot more of these in history. So whatever you guys got, let's hear them down in the comments there. And again, what did you think about these ones? We got a death pyramid. Again, we got damming up of the Mediterranean. What do you think about those? All right, y'all. Hey, we'll see you next time. Bye.